Hey skiers, I'm Jeff from SkiEssentials.com.
And I'm Alli.
We're here today to do another exciting 2020 ski review, and it happens to be, I might be wrong, but I think our first women's-specific 2020 ski review, which is pretty exciting. This is the Santa Ana 88 from Nordica. If you follow us on Chairlift Chat or the YouTube channel, you probably saw the Enforcer 88 review, which we did back in, it feels like forever ago now, but I think it was January. This ski kind of follows the same trends that we talked about in that review, but we thought it was worthwhile to give this ski its own attention. There are some differences which I'll talk about, but basically the Santa Ana and the men's Enforcer collections, they're very similar. They all share essentially the same shape. So traditionally we've had the 93, the 100, and the 110. Now there are some new models in the Enforcer line that we talked about, like the 104, and then this 88, which has trickled down into the Santa Ana line as well. Kind of the only big difference between the Enforcers and the Santa Anas is the wood core. So the Enforcers use a heavier, denser wood core. These use a much lighter wood core, balsa wood core, or balsa's integrated into that wood core, which really does shed quite a bit of weight. But they still have 2 sheets of metal. That's kind of an important thing to remember about the Santa Ana skis, is there are 2 sheets of metal in there. It's thinner metal than we see in a lot of other skis. It's 0.4 millimeters if you want to get technical. But basically adds in vibration damping. Because it's thinner metal, it's a little bit lighter than some other metal skis. But pretty cool, and that's really the big difference between the Enforcers and the Santa Ana is that wood core. Now for this 88, if you watch that Enforcer 88 review, you may be familiar with the new updates to these skis. Essentially what they've done, and you can actually see it if you look at the sidewall of the ski, they've taken out ABS plastic from the tip and they've replaced it with wood. So essentially the wood core extends further up into the tip of the ski. It actually lightens it up, so that wood is lighter than the ABS material. So lighter swing weight, but you also get a little bit more torsional stiffness through the tip of the ski. And then they also integrated carbon fiber into the fiberglass layer of the ski. So they call it carbon chassis, and fairly similar goal as the change to the tip. It's supposed to be 30% lighter than if they were, well, the layer itself is 30% lighter than if it was all fiberglass. And carbon is a more reactive material with greater torsional stiffness. So basically trying to take some weight out of the ski while boosting torsional stiffness, which sounds like something I say about like literally everything in the ski world. But it's definitely a trend right now, and this is kind of a cool way to accomplish that. So the narrowest ski in the Santa Ana line now at 88 underfoot. It kind of replaces the Astral 88. There's no more Astral 88. And it's just a great ski. Alli, you skied it probably the first time like way back in December when we met up with the Nordica crew. Luckily we had access to it pretty much throughout the whole season. So people skied it throughout the season, and then it was a pretty popular ski to test in our 2020 ski test. So I think we'll just kind of dive right into performance, and we'll kind of bounce some things off Alli here, because she has spent more time on it than I have. I have not spent any time on it, unfortunately. But Alli, you ski a lot of different stuff. I know kind of from your past that you ski a lot of vocals. I know you've skied the Santa Ana 100 quite a bit. Usually with these reviews, we like to start with firm snow. So just what are your general thoughts of the ski on firm snow?
I was pleasantly surprised by this ski. The edge-to-edge quickness is definitely a lot better than or more than the Santa Ana 100 and the rest of the line. It's super light and reactive. It has a strong edge hold. I ski a Santa Ana 100 and a Vocal Secret 92. So this is the narrowest of the skis, but I really liked that it was much more of a carving ski. Yet it still was forgiving on my legs and in ease of turning in every turn. So I definitely enjoy it. I think it's a little different than the Secret. Definitely the tip and the tail are a little bit more forgiving in the turns, making it a little bit easier to ski. But as I said, it still holds that strong edge. Acts just like it's got two sheets of metal, which it does.
Yeah, and I think I'm glad you touched on forgiveness, because I think that's something that we talk a lot about with the Enforcers and the Santa Anas as well. Just, considering the performance level that they hit, they have those two sheets of metal. They're pretty darn stable at speed. They're pretty powerful skis, but they're surprisingly accessible and forgiving. You don't have to be like a World Cup ski racer or be driving your ski at all times. There's actually some forgiveness to it, and I think a lot of that comes from the shape of the tips and the tails, the fact that the metal's a little bit thinner. When say you're skiing a groomer, do you find it pretty easy to kind of pivot the ski and maneuver it like that instead of just carving?
I definitely felt like I could do, what I call like play turns, which are like hop turns, and quick turns, which I sometimes like to do when you're skiing with someone slower. It gives you a little bit more exercise. Yeah. These skis were easy to kind of do that, and then they were also easy to lay down a long arc when I'm chasing the guys.
Yeah.
So they were easy and forgiving. If you didn't want to complete your turn, they could still swish out at the tails a little bit in order to, in the woods or tighter turns, if you really needed to get out of that turn quicker.
Yeah, and I think that's just something that's really cool about these skis is if you want to lay down a really precise, powerful carving turn, they certainly can do that, but they allow for different turn shapes really nicely, and they have this just uniquely forgiving, just smooth feel. I've always found that this shape, the way that it transitions between a carve and releasing your edge into a smear or a skid, it's seamless. It's very, very smooth, which kind of matches their smooth. Smooth is a word I use to describe these skis a lot. So the way that they kind of handle bumps in the snow and variable terrain, very smooth, and the way that they transition through different turn shapes is very smooth. We talked a little bit about this versus the Santa Ana 100 and kind of whether one would be more appropriate as a resort ski than another. So say you chose this as your resort ski, you really value that quicker edge-to-edge feel. You want maybe a little bit more edge grip. So you're getting that with the 88, but what would you think if you were taking this off-trail into moguls, trees, stuff like that?
I have to say I only ski my Santa Ana 100s a couple days a year here on the East Coast. I kind of like a narrower ski because of our woods being tighter. I think these would be fun. They have enough tip rocker to give a little float when needed. I'm not talking a true powder day, but in the woods they'd be a blast because they're so light and snappy that you'd be able to turn real quick through those trees. And as we said, the tails release really easily, so I would take them anywhere.
Yeah, and I think having it. Traditionally, or at least in the past decade or so, as soon as people think off-piste skiing or woods or trees, they kind of gravitate towards wider skis. And something that we're seeing from manufacturers and just in the ski world in general in the past 2 years is more of a trend to go narrower, because that quickness edge-to-edge is key. And just being lighter in the tips with that new tip, and just less surface area throughout the whole ski it is a lighter swing weight than its wider skis. So I think that there's something to be said about that with a ski like this. It's certainly not going to have like the float and the true powder performance of your 100, or we could take that to the next level and say the Santa Ana 110, which really has, it's a totally different shape even. It's got huge tail rocker. But this ski doesn't have too much tail rocker at all. So outside of those really, really deep snow conditions, I think a ski like this can pretty much handle it all.
I think that ski companies are trending towards this middle ground instead of just a true carving ski and a powder ski. They are cutting the numbers down to 88. It's the new number this year. Last year was 92. And I feel like they've really refined what these middle waist skis can do.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that's about it. Really, really valuable addition to the Nordica line in general. In the written portion of the article, I talked a little bit more about it replacing the Astral 88. I don't know if you've ever skied the Astral 88.
I do not.
Pretty cool ski. Same as the Navigator 90 on the men's ski that kind of goes away, which I think makes sense because there's still an Astral 84, and that ski has no tail rocker at all, very squared off, flat tail. So it makes more sense to me to build a little bit more versatility into this 88 waist width than the Astral had. So there may be some of you that are disappointed that the Astral 88 is gone, but I can pretty much guarantee that if you were a fan of the Astral, you would love skiing these as well. So, yeah, Alli, anything you want to add?
No, just get out and try them. They're a great ski. I think there'll be a lot of people talking about them this year on the hill.
Yeah, definitely. They were an early release. We had quite a few of them, actually. This is our only pair left right now because there was quite a bit of hype about these skis when they first came out. I think this is a shortest length, the 151. So we do have a pair available right now, and we'll certainly be getting a lot more in throughout this summer. So as always, let us know if you have any questions. We compared it to a couple skis with Alli here, but if you want us to compare it to others, just let us know in the comments, and we will do our best to answer you as quickly as we can. And yeah, we will see you guys on the slopes.